Hello everyone, this is your girl LaSage coming through on a Tuesday with your daily reading. So I just got back from Sedona. It was so beautiful. I mean, the sights were freaking amazing. Okay. I'm not gonna make any promises. I might do a video showing all the beautiful sights, but for now I'm here with your Lakota Sweat Lodge cards. These are the spiritual teachings of the Sioux Indians. It's by Chief Archie Fire Lame Deer and Helene Sarkis. And this I think these cards cost about $35, but I only paid $7 at half price books. It was meant for me because I have been running into people that were actually from the tribes, you know, from the actual tribe who their grandfather, you know, just very like pure Indians, and it was really cool because it was like synchronicity was leading me one place to another. Anyways, I always say when I drop the cards that it's something that is wanted to be known, but there's a whole lot of cards, so we're not gonna do that today. I'm not even gonna do that to you today. We are going to move this right here. Let's see. And these are a bit different. Let's see. So I know I'm posting 2 videos today because the other video didn't post until today. So this is the daily reading for today, if all goes well. Never pulled that one before. All right. So I pulled the mole, I pulled the swan, and I pulled the sun. I'm seeing a flow. There is a flow. Great Spirit. And reconnect. Okay. So, as I was saying, the Great Spirit calls for us to have a flow, sometimes there's a time to fly above and fly high and fly above the radar, and sometimes it's best to fly below the radar, and you need to be able to come out and observe, come out and see. You pick your head above the ground and you see You see what's going on, and you come back and you work on your craft. You come, you see, then you create. You see, you observe, and then you create. Because when what you're observing the group consciousness, the consciousness that is ruling the masses right now. And those are the conditions that you are having to be aware of and be careful of, because there was a time where in history the worries and the conditions were way different. The taboos were different. So whereas now, the taboos are different now. Now with the Me Too movement and the, Black Lives Matter, you got, the LGBTQ, all these different movements. These movements would not have been allowed back then. And so those conditions were different, and you had to be aware of the conditions that were causing you to hate these particular groups of people. And now everyone's it's the awareness is in people's face, and they're having to be aware of what's going on. So they're having to face themselves and face their sickness. And so oppression is being the conditions of oppression are different than they were back hundreds of years ago. And so now at this time, Spirit calls for you to come out, observe the conditions, and come back and create and see what it is that relates to you. A lot of times curiosity will lead you to the most beautiful places. And me as a curious person, this isn't everybody's path, okay? This is for a lot of, I'm letting you know, it's okay to be curious. People may have gotten on you for being relentless with asking questions, or not accepting the negative, or not accepting the untruths that you might have been taught in school. You might have gotten in trouble for things, but that is all an indication that you're on the right path, on your path, right? Because the greatest teachers are the greatest students. The greatest teachers are those who ask the greatest questions. What kind of questions are you asking? I'm not worried. There are certain things that, the average person might be worried about. Not that I'm up here and anybody's down. I'm just saying, like, when I say average, the masses, there's certain things that a lot of people are worried about that I'm past that, in the sense of I already know that situation will transform. I already know that as I transform me, then I will have a different perspective on that situation. And at some point, all of us are pieces of the whole puzzle, and all of us can help each other. And there's going to be trust that everything in the universe, everything is perfect. Everything will be resolved in some point in time. Everything will harmonize. Everything will flow. There will be balance. However, what you may think, there is balance right now. Where what you may think is imbalance, what you may think is destruction, is actually life-giving. Did you know that forest fires are actually good for the earth? That forest fires are not at all detrimental. They actually had to go back and rehash the Smokey Bear campaign. They had to eliminate that because they realized you're doing a disservice to Mother Nature if you fight fires. So don't fight your fires, face them. You understand? And allow them to show up and move through them. And so you flow through, so fires, they burn down the trees, they burn down the land, and guess what? They leave way. The ashes, it refertilizes the land, and it makes way for certain plants to sprout out, right? Certain plants to grow, and then you have a certain species of animals that are able to feed off of these plants. That it's all a cycle, and these species of animals also feed another species of animal, and it goes on, and the life cycle continues, right? So as a human, there are fires that are in your life that is okay to look at it as the sun, like look at it as the sunshine. It's okay to look at it as a positive. It's okay to accept it for what it is. It's okay to look at that and be like, you know what? Without this fire, I would not be this flower. You know what I'm saying? Without going through this, I wouldn't be this. And it's when you start looking at life that way and moving out of the victim mode, victim mentality, that you see where you came from and where you're at right now. All of that is gone. All of that, you realize, what was you worried for? It was all, that was the illusion that was felt like reality at that time. And then when you transcended your reality, when you started being aware and started seeing things for what it was, then you were like, you're in a new reality. You're in this new space. You're in this new space facing these new illusions, you know? And it's all about perspective. When you start to look at your life as if that everything that happens is for your greater good, everything that happens to you is for your greater good, not the greater good of all, because that's when we get in Hitler mode. That's when we start trying to control the masses and try to control other people. I'm talking about for yourself, okay? That's a prime example when I said don't get in Hitler mode. The reason why I'm able to understand that ego can take you to Hitler mode, if you have a certain set of circumstances, a certain set of beliefs that cause you to think this way, it can cause you to, it can bring out the worst in you. The desire, the need for power, when you don't realize that you have power inside, it can bring out the worst of you. Go look up the Stanford experiment. It's about a group of, can't remember, I think it was 13 prisoners, or I can't remember how many prisoners it was, but they came in and they had, a group of them had to be prisoners and a group of them had to be officers, and they had to somehow make this work. And man, it turned into something that none of them were prepared for. People lost their lives. It was really bad. Look up the experiment. But you could watch how somebody that started off so sweet and innocent looking and so, like, I don't know, somebody that was, but they felt powerless inside. They were the Mr. Nice Guy. They were the Mrs. Nice Guy, because they felt powerless. And that moment they got a taste of power, they became those officers who are power hungry. You know, those cops that are power hungry, and they will tear down anybody in their path that doesn't do what they say, because they feel like they have a sense of control. And so at any point you can be observing those people, being able to observe and look at those things objectively, and understanding that we all have the capability to become any type of the most evilest human being to the greatest, most transcendent human being. We have the capacity, but the only way that you can know that is by observing what's around you, observing, knowing. It's okay to look up your history. It's okay to understand. It's okay to read biographies and, you know, to watch things that in reality shows and all that. It's nothing negative. When you watch it from a different perspective, it's not junk. It's not the hypnosis that the masses are being affected by. It's a different type of, it's something that's on another level. And so when you look at something and you observe it and you're like, all right, I know I have the capacity to do that. That is not something I desire in my experience. So I'm going to keep myself in check. I'm going to keep my ego in check. So I'm not going to allow myself to go here, because that will lead me here, here, and here. Knowing your darkest parts of you, knowing the dark side of yourself, observing yourself, allowing your fires to come up is allowing you to observe your dark side and observe the things that you might not particularly like about yourself that could be harmful, but used in the right capacity, it could be your greatest asset, your greatest ally. But there's a thin line, but you have to know yourself. You have to know thyself. You have to understand thyself. And so Spirit calls for you to be an observer and to come out, to look, and come back and create your world. Create the world that you desire by doing the things that you want to do, doing the things that your soul leads you to do. Your soul will lead you exactly where you need to go. And so I just that's what I get from this reading. So on that note, I'm going to leave out.
I'm not an artist that believes in putting down others to top trees, but what I will say, that all say ain't real say, and real say ain't coming these days. And on this day I say slay, cause Santa Claus is taking over in his sleigh. Our history in dismay as we empower our sister and her mister. Stop worshiping ministers, got you feeling sinister.
Sin is not original,
but real talk is all talk. No, God gives permission to walk. You are made in Yah's likeness. Creators bear witness. Choose a path, walk your path, do the math, prepare for the aftermath. It takes two, it takes two, it takes two, it takes two. I cannot do what you won't do, what you won't do. It takes two, it takes two, it takes two, it takes two. I cannot do what you won't do, what you won't do. I ain't no rapper, but I can do poetry eloquently. Talk to your soul, you see. I can rip rhymes without rhythms, and rhythms without no rhymes and hymns. One thing I can't be again is blind my mind, the land of the sublime. I refuse to be caught up in the land of the free, where ain't nothing really free. Me, nothing to hide, and you confide. See right through me,